Good morning. I am shattered. I don't know why. Been a long week, this actually. At least it feels like a long week. You know what I mean? Well, as you guessed with the title of the video, we have a last-minute birthday gift for someone. A customer came in. She's a regular customer. I've done loads of repairs for her and stuff in the past. Looking for a 40th birthday gift for a relative, I think, someone she knows. Went through various things that I've got in the shop. He's an outdoorsy kind of person. He's a farrier. It sounds like the perfect kind of customer for me. But she selected a belt, and in particular one of the belts with the fireman's buckle on it, the quick release fireman's buckle. I didn't have any in stock in the combination that she wanted, so that's the antique brass finish on the buckle with a brown belt. It's called quick release because all the time that there is pressure that way on the belt, on the buckle, it won't come undone, but it'll do that as soon as you take the pressure off or physically push that flap down. And then the belt just comes apart. It's a nice little quirky thing. It captures everybody's imagination. Despite the fact that it's got moving parts, these are very solidly made. It's forged brass, sorry, and these are pretty hefty little rivets that are in here. I don't know if the camera will show that to you properly. As usual, the tine and everything is absolute quality. I buy these from a supplier who forges them. They're an English supplier. All the belt buckles and everything that I use, all the strap buckles, I tend to get from them because they're just so much better than the stuff that I can buy from other sources because of the manufacturing standards that they go to. I don't know if I'm actually really allowed to say the name, but I suppose I will. Must state clearly that I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. That'd be really nice if I was. Hint, hint. I'm broke. Sponsor me. They come from Abbey, England, and they're top quality. Also, something else that arrived. I ordered these back in November, I think. Might have been even earlier than that. I ordered them from Dieselpunk, and they're little swing tags that say designed by Dieselpunk on them, which means that I can now finally put them on the designs that I've been making of his. I lost track of them. I was trying to follow them on a tracking app thing, and they disappeared somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. I thought they'd really been lost. I really did. And then they arrived this morning out of the blue, literally 10 minutes ago. Because they're on like just a piece of completely unsealed natural veg tanned leather, I can dye them, I can do whatever I feel like, or I can just leave them like that. I've got some on the bags that I've made over there. I just put them on there with a piece of thread. They look all right. They stand out. As I say, I could dye them if I wanted to, if I was that way inclined. Anyway, enough of the yammer. As I say, I've got until lunchtime-ish to finish this. Now, you'll be glad to know I did all the burnishing and everything last night after the customer left. So it's totally ready just for sewing and the final finishing kind of part of it. Now, with a belt, I do something slightly different. I use the black toconol for the edges, but then I give them a coat of gum tragacanth. This is there's a couple of different manufacturers, but this is one from EcoFlow. I've had it a little while. It's got a fantastic kind of smell to it. It smells a bit resinous, kind of like piney kind of smell. It always reminds me of the stuff that my mum used to mop the floors with when I was a kid. It smells a bit like floor detergent. Yeah. It's like, yeah, can you smell that? What it is it's a gum or a wax. It's quite hard but flexible, so it makes the surface hard wearing. So if you put it on the edge, it really is. It's another burnishing agent. I'm essentially using this one just to colour up the edge, but putting this on top of it makes it a bit more hard wearing, because a belt gets a lot of wear where it goes through the buckle and through belt loops and things like that. If you put a knife or anything like that attached to the belt, it adds to the wear. So this hopefully just keeps it lasting out a little bit longer. again, because it's natural, leather is a natural product, it can wear and it will get some wear and tear to it, and it get a patina as it gets older. And yes, the edge might fray a little bit. To be honest, if somebody did bring it in and say, I'm not happy with how the edge looks, then I'll just do the treatment again. It might last a little bit longer. It's hard to say because every piece of leather is different. There are natural creases and veins and things throughout it, so there's not a huge amount you can really do about it. I make up lengths of keeper. Something I often forget to do is put a keeper on a belt. I don't know why. But this is just the bit after the buckle that the belt goes through, and it stops it from coming undone on the buckle. I pre-make strips of this just because it's easier. Because I've still got to burnish all the edges and everything, so I just make a long strip of it, again using the strap cutter. Job done. And I make it up out the first piece of hide that comes off the leather. First piece of see, I'm exhausted. I've already had one coffee today. I've got a pot sitting here. All right, so let's put those to one side. Oh, they're back. Yeah. I also got a customer coming in for sizing up on another commission, but we'll see that when we get to it. I need that. I'm about to put that away. I don't need those two. Let's point the camera down. Right. So first things first, you might think, why is that end shaped and that end not? Well, I'm going to use what's sometimes referred to as an egg point. It's not technically an egg point because it's more of a strap end. There's this fantastic technique that I've seen people use where they take the half head knife, put it on the edge there like this, and then just go like that with the leather. And then repeat on the opposite side of it like that. And they can get this lovely kind of egg shape point. It's a fantastic skill, and I will probably one day sit down and actually practice doing that. But until then, I'm just going to use a strap end cutting tool. The reason for this, the reason for doing it like that, is so that you never have a line of stitching going perpendicular to the force. So the force on the belt is obviously this way, where it's going around you. If you stitch across like that, you create a perforation or a weak point. So you always sew along this way or diagonally. And I will be marking up the stitching. You'll see I'll basically follow this shape here to make do the stitching part, and I'll sew the keeper in as I go. But there will never be any stitching going across the belt like that. And that just helps with the longevity of the belt. So first things first, I know I'm going to put the buckle roughly there. It gives me a couple of inches overlap to sew round and plenty of space to put the keeper in, because I need at least a couple of stitches to start before the keeper goes in, so that I can cast on and cast off. That's the thing, you double your first couple of stitches and then you double up on the last couple of stitches, so you need to have enough space away from there to get 2 stitches in at least, possibly even 3 would be better, and then you sew your keeper in. Now I'm going to do something called skiving. There's lots of different ways of doing it. Some people use particular skiving knives. I have an English skiving knife which has got a 45-degree point on it and sharp on one side. I don't know why. It's terrible. I can't use it very well. It's difficult to keep sharp. There's Japanese ones which are just basically a square blade. They work quite well from what I can see. And you can get a machine to do it that's just basically a spinning blade, and you can set the depth that you can put the piece of leather in and just basically go like that, and it does it. And you get perfect skive. That's really good for, well, bag making and things like that, because you can do long seams, and shoe making. You can just go like that with a long piece of leather. I'd like one. I'm just going to use my half head knife. And I'm just going to basically do that. Say that again. There we go. So that's the final point. Now, the reason I did it on opposing sides is because when you fold it over like this, it's inside the belt, you don't end up with a big lump. You just have this nice continuous loop. It also makes it ever so slightly thinner where you're going to sew through as well, although I possibly won't go quite that far. You can also take pieces like this, or a piece from here, and place it either side of the keeper, like that. If you're using a harder harness leather, when you fold the leather over and you're stitching up to that point, you'll get this gap and you can't pull it tight enough. You just end up with this gap. But if you use a wedge-shaped piece of leather like this, the off-cut piece from doing some skiving, even if you skive the end of the actual belt, you'd get a chunk the right size. And you can put one either side of the keeper, and the leather sits better on either side of it. The reason I'm not going to do it today is because this leather is quite soft and supple. If I just pull it tight, it'll nip up, and you'll not get a gap between the two parts of the leather around the keeper. So I'm just going to bin them. Then I'm going to skive this piece at the end here. Again, because when it's folded over, you've got quite a large lump there. That's quite a step. Trim off the little fluffy bits that have come off the end here. Possibly need to buff the knife a little bit, actually. Yeah, maybe. Believe it or not, I don't think the knife was actually quite sharp enough to do that. I want to cut myself with it still, but it wasn't quite sharp enough. I'll put that to one side to remind me to do that later. And using this tool, so I can just see where I creased the leather slightly there whilst I was working it out. Oh, this tool's fantastic. The way that the two sides move like this, the center is slightly thinner, so these two sides form an edge. And then when you do that over a piece of leather, this bit is always in the middle. It's a fixed point in the middle. So you can line up your holes and where you want your crew punch and everything to go precisely. Pen. Where's the pen gone? Oh, again, I keep. Ah, there it is. Now I'm not going to draw all the way around. All I need to do is know where the edges of the crew punch are going to go to be central. Like that. And that they're parallel. If you're not sure, you can just leave a mark on it. Yeah, that looks good to me. These things are awesome. Now this is 1.25 inch buckle, and that's a 1 inch crew punch, which means it's not long enough. I need to punch a bit more out. Aha, mother's just arrived. So I'm just going to You are possibly within range of the microphone, Mother, and live on the internet. Last minute order yesterday. There you go. See, that little bit extra means that the leather will fold around properly to sit around the buckle neatly. You all right?
Yeah. So
that's done. Yeah, I made myself one. There should be enough in the kettle left if you want one.
Not yet.
It's a bit bracing out there, isn't it?
Just blowing a little.
Yeah, it's an absolute hoot here.
Yeah. And it's sort of raining wind and hair like needles.
Right. That's where a nice big workbench comes in handy. And you've got like 40 odd inches of belt. This tool is a creaser, an edge crease. There we go. It's a 2.5, which means it's 2.5 millimeters from there to there. One edge of the crease is slightly longer than the other. And the idea is that you can put that on the edge of your piece of leather and run it along. If you put enough pressure on it, it'll leave a mark. I use these to help a stitch line as well as being decorative. So some models of these creases are adjustable and can be heated up so you can actually kind of score the leather or brand it almost. It does look good, but I don't have one of those models or a way of heating it up. So you don't have the camera show you, but that's where I've put the edge crease on. I haven't there. Yeah. Lashing down out there again. So this is going to look a little strange. Why are you doing it this way, Ben? I'm doing it this way so that I can draw around that. And then I'll know where that is on the other side. Where's my stylus? So as long as I get that, I'll figure where it's going to be when I sew it. Go. And using my handy little compass thingy, set this to the same width here. And very carefully, I'm just going to follow it. I'm going to try not to score this line again with this because it makes a much more permanent mark. I'm just going to mark where the stitching needs to go. I'm just going to follow that line around the outside there. Helps so I can see what I'm doing, doesn't it? There we go. There we are. Where did my scratchy thing go? There it is. Now with these, I have to make sure I get them the right way up. There we are. You don't want that sticking in your belly. If you're like me and it slightly overhangs the belt, it gets uncomfortable. I'll put this back on again for the moment, and I can mark the other side. That's more just a reference so that I can do this. I don't glue the whole way across, I just glue this part. Just helps tack it in place whilst I'm trying to work on the belt. Got a good scouring. It's a bit like what it's like walking around out there at the moment. You get a good scouring. Come to me. Just waiting for the glue to flow from the back of the pot to the front. Again, I'm not intending for the glue to become structural. It is there to hold.
Yes.
Oh,
Very.
have a customer. Let me close the door. The customer's just gone into the haberdashery at the other end. Let's just see if that's looking about right there. When I was first learning this technique, I kept missing. I ended up stitching around the outside there and not actually stitching this piece of leather together. So I'll take a bit of care now to make sure I actually get it in the right place. Looking good though. As long as I follow my marks and trust what I've done, it will be good. Now to mark up the stitches themselves. Now with the buckle in place there, take my set square, just so that I can start and stop at the same place on both sides. This is never easy to do without marking a belt. I don't really want to mark the belt. Basically, I just need to be close enough to the back end of the buckle so that it just can't slide out, but it can still rotate, do what it's supposed to do. Okay. So I'm not trying to go right the way through, I am just trying to mark where the stitching goes. I will punch through with my awl when I'm actually sewing. Now at this point, actually, if I punch that one right the way through, yeah, I know I'm going to get the stitching in the right place now. Yeah. Oh, nose is really itchy this morning. Don't ask me why. Oh. Quite a steaming cup of coffee. I use a slight contrast colour for the stitching. Medium to dark brown there, and I'm using a pale brown for that. So because I think it looks nice. It takes more than you think as well. Make sure you just take off plenty of thread. Excuse me. You've got the thickness of the leather to account for as well, not just the surface distance that you're sewing. And this leather, this belt leather, is actually quite thick. I haven't said it yet in this stream, but just in case, if a customer does come in, I will mute the mic on the stream. Right. The other tricky bit is also making sure that this is round the right way. I actually ended up keeping it for myself, but I did a belt with it the wrong way, so that the inside of the keeper was on the outside because I'd sewn it the wrong way around. Yeah. So basically, these casting on stitches and casting off stitches are the exact reverse of what I do when sewing normally. For me, anyway. I mean, Doesn't really matter how you do the stitches, as long as you reverse it, the stitches will lay the right direction. So I'll do one more stitch, and then I'm going to start sewing the keeper in. So just make sure that's roughly 90 degrees. And then using the stitching clamp, I just clamp the end of the keeper in place. I'll show you a close-up of this when I'm done, but you'll see that the leather does form around the keeper quite nicely, this type of leather, so I don't feel the need to put those wedges that I mentioned in there. Don't really expect to see too many customers today. The weather, when the weather gets like this, it tends to keep them away. Okay. Oh. Got it.
and that.
Alright, so getting to the point where I'm about to sew the keeper in on the other side. This is the tricky bit. So I've just pre-made the holes going forwards along here so that I can find them from the other side, because for the stitches that are going to pass through the keeper, I get a punch from that side. It's also probably going to be easier if I don't put it in the clamp. So what I do is make sure it's reasonably well lined up with the opposite side of itself. I find the hole that's in the middle and I poke through with this. I just look down in there. Hopefully it comes out. Yeah, that's pretty close. Comes out of that hole there. Take a needle, poke it through, and that just holds it in place whilst I sew. I've seen people do this with tacks, where they hammer the tack in and things like that. It all works, it's just ways of doing it. Try to run true in there. I'm going to pull the wrong one out. There we go. Not easy. Now I'm going to use this needle here just to hold it in place. The idea is just I'll put this one in as I take that one out. I'll try and follow it. It's a grand theory. Always work though. Sometimes I just do this and it works, and other times it just is awkward. Let's try it from the other side. And part of the problem is because as I'm trying to put this in, I've got to move the keeper out of the way like this, and it twists the hole, twists the position where the hole is. And they don't line up as it twists. There we go. Yeah. Oh, good news. I've placed an order for some more leather. Very interesting leather. The purchase has a benefactor, and it is to be for a bag. It's going to be a very nice looking bag. It's going to be another bucket purse, but it's going to be in some very different colours. There we go, just needs to cast off now. That's the half stitch just to bring it onto the back. That's why I tend to leave 2 to 3 stitches so that I can do the half stitch to bring it around to the back to finish it. Go. melt that. So there we are. That's the buckle sewn in. I'll show you there. The leather closes up quite neatly on either side of the keeper, so I don't feel the need to put a wedge either side in this respect. There's also not a huge amount of space between here and here to do it in. You'd end up with the keeper maybe starting about here. You know, I mean, my personal preference is to have it a little bit closer. All right. Now I just need to cut it to length, which I'm told is 32 inches. That one there. Let's move some stuff out of the way. Right. There's a couple of schools of thought about how to do this. Some people say you have to measure from the bar at the front of the buckle. Others say from the back of the buckle. I've always felt if you measure from the back of the buckle, you always got an inch there, but some people say it doesn't really matter because the leather will come around and sit on that part of the tine just here. So it's roughly, they say measure from the halfway point. I'm going to measure from there. What I need is, there it is. I've got two reach out here. I don't know why I've got two. "32 inches, like that. So that is where the first hole, or the middle hole, needs to be. I'm going to use this gadget again, but these holes, whether it's the round ones or the ones in the triangles, they're 1 inch apart. So if you do the middle hole on the point you need it to be on, you've then got 2 inches either side. You can have more than that. You can, you know, move that along and line it up. That's just the way that I like to do it. What I'm not going to do necessarily is cut the end just yet. I might call the customer and find out if the gentleman's coming to have this fitted, and if they're not, then I will have to. I'll show you how this works first. Where's my stylus gone? Put that down here somewhere, didn't I? I'll double check 32 inches. Let's do that. The way I see it, if I do it that way, that I know that these buckles are 1 inch deep at this end. I can see that because it says 33 on there, exactly on the bar. So if my next hole is there and there, then we'll all be in the right place.
We've got this one, and this is the sole thread. There's that one, that's an extra long one, that's £4.95. Or we've got just the ordinary, that's the one. Yeah, that's it.
So that's the marks, they're exactly in the centre. Yeah, you can put a hole punch through these and do this, but I find it comes out a little inaccurate. Just checking. Got a really chunky tine on these things. It's on the biggest one of these. And what I do is I don't go straight through on the first go. I just make a couple of marks over it. And then if the dot is exactly in the center, or not in the center, you can move the tool slightly. All right, here's a handy little tip. If it starts to do that and leave the center in there, oh yeah, I found my jeweler's block. I didn't lose it. Basically, it's just a few fibers that aren't quite being cut through. Maybe the pad on here is getting a bit worn. Don't know. The punch itself is getting a little bit worn. Just do that. Get a much cleaner cut. It's affecting how it looks. There we go. So the last thing to do will be put my mark on it. You see those holes are all nice and central. Let's just show you here. One of the reasons why I haven't cut it yet is I go to the last hole and then I'd make sure there's enough leather to go through the keeper, which it does a lot easier once I put the shape on the end. There you go, do that. So on the last hole, you should have enough left over on this side of the keeper to allow you to put it through. And so I'm not 100% convinced. I mean, I've been told, yes, 32 inches is a size for someone's belt, and then found out that it's supposed to be much longer than that. So that's why I tend to like the customer to come in or bring me an old belt or something, and I'll line it all up, or I'll actually get them to put the belt on. Because in the real world, yes, you might have a 32-inch waist, but if you tuck your shirt in, you tuck any kind of clothing in, or you the thickness of the material of your jeans, it throws that measurement out. So I don't often like doing this where I'm making the belt blind. I like someone to come in and try it on, and then I'll actually put the mark where it's comfortable for them to wear. Sod the 32-inch track waist size thing, because that's subjective as well. Most manufacturers don't have a standardized setting. Have you ever bought a pair of 30 whatever size is perfect for you in one designer, snatch a name out of the air, Levi, and then you go and buy the same pair of jeans or similar, buy a pair of jeans in the same size from Wrangler, but the label says a completely different size. Happens all the time. So that's why I like people to, at least with the belt, have a custom fitting if possible. Been stung too many times with that. I go through all this work to make it and then find out that it doesn't fit. So I will not cut this bit yet. it's retrievable just by putting some extra holes in either direction. But if I've already cut it, I can't do anything about it. I've got to start again, make another belt basically. So I'll leave it like that. I'll put my mark on it and let the customer know it's ready. This is oh, just as you can see, yeah, I'll show you this. So all the time there's tension this way, I'll just show I'm not pulling on it that way, it won't come undone. But if you just flip that catch down, that bit comes up, and because it's new, it's stiff, but that just slides out like that then. That's how that buckle works. Right, I'm going to end the stream there. So otherwise, there you go. Now you can see me instead of talking to my hands. I'm actually going to end the stream there for today because I do have other jobs in the shop, but I don't have a lot on at the moment. Just wanted to show you this a bit more in depth in how the belt is sewn and made, and the buckle, in particular around the keeper, because I know I did do the keeper in the same way on the bucket purse, but it wasn't quite so easy to see, I felt. So I thought I'd show you this today and give you a chance to see this. More bucket purses on the way. As I say, just ordered some leather and some different colours for it. And the other bags as well, I've had some interest in them for cartridge bag style. So I might actually this afternoon cut out another bag to make as a cartridge bag. Get the swing over clasp on the front and modify the front of the design on the front and start making that. Valentine's Day is coming up. I've got to try and think of something for that too. For the wife, I guess. Righto. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you feel like it's worth subscribing. Share it, whatever you like. Go to the website. Buy lots of stuff. I don't mind. Won't complain at all there. But whatever you feel like you're doing to support the channel, that'd be great. Take care of yourselves. Don't get blown away in the wind. Don't get drowned by the rain, because you could do up here at the moment. And I'll see you again, I guess, Tuesday, possibly. That's most likely. Yeah. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.